Hello and welcome to Systemise Your Success. Today I'm going to walk you through the journey that our clients go through so you know exactly how to systemise your business, outsource your work and free your time. So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day and this is Systemise Your Success. Okay, so in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process that we take our clients through. This is going to show you how to know what to outsource first, how to quickly get all of that stuff you hate doing off your back and onto somebody else's plate, and how to have time to focus on doing the stuff you actually love to do. How to outsource effectively to manage a remote team, and then how to get your team to keep all of your tasks updated so you don't have to do that yourself. And really importantly, how to then get your team to systemize your business for you. This is absolutely essential if you ever want to get out of the day-to-day grind in your business and scale and make your business a success. Most business owners don't do this stuff. Most businesses fail as a result. About 3/4 of businesses don't ever take on any staff, and about 90% of businesses don't last 10 years. So if you follow this guide, it'll give you a massive head start and a flying chance of actually making your business a success and giving you the lifestyle and the profit that you want. Okay, so the way I approach this is different from any course or book I've ever read. And the problem with most of the courses and books I've read in the past is they don't actually take into account that business owners are super busy, and the idea of putting hours and hours aside to write down all your processes and to figure out how to actually structure your business and who's going to do what, etc., is more than most business owners can cope with when they actually feel the pain and the need to start outsourcing their work. So I approach this from a really practical perspective. I did this because I struggled to systemize my business in the past. I've read some brilliant books that give me an absolute great game plan about how this all should all be done, but then I'd always fail because I just run out of time and energy, never get round to sort of finishing things off, and all the work I put in would just go to waste because I'd never actually complete it and get it off my back and onto someone else's plate. So how I approach this, as I said, is different. The first thing we teach our clients to do is to free your time. This means to look at your own work really closely. What are you doing each day? Where are you wasting your time? Where could you save just a few minutes here, a few minutes there, and add those minutes up to start saving hours each day? Because if you can do that, if you can outsource, say, an hour a day, that's 6 weeks over a working year. 2 hours a day, that's 3 months saved if you can just outsource a couple of hours of work. So if you start with you, start getting stuff off your back, then you'll have the time, the headspace and the energy to start looking at systemizing the rest of your business. So the way we do this is really very simple. Start jotting down everything you're doing each day, add it all up at the end of a week or a month and decide which tasks are taking you the longest to do. Get rid of the ones that are taking you the longest, but also that you know quite well, because you want stuff that you can easily explain to somebody how to do it. Once you've done that, and you've decided what you're going to outsource first, the next thing is to actually get someone to do it for you as quickly as possible. If you start trying to write out by hand or your standard operating procedures or SOPs and start writing checklists and long descriptions about do this, do that, doing screen grabs, making them all pretty, it just takes too long. And you'll end up thinking it would be just quicker and easier to do it yourself. And in fact, you'd be right. I've tried that approach. I've tried it so many times and I failed every single time because it just took too long. When I speak to business owners that have done this and done it themselves, they found that it's just taken over their lives for weeks on end. So instead of doing this, I decided that, okay, I need to get this knowledge out of my head, but then somebody else can do all the hard grunt work of actually documenting it for me. So the way we teach our clients to do this is to record yourself doing your work. So use a screen capture tool like Loom, or we prefer Screencast-O-Matic, and then hit record and do the task that you would do anyway. As you're doing it, narrate yourself through, and at the end, you've got instructions on how you want that task to be done exactly the way you would actually do it, because it's just been a recording of you doing the work. Next, you want to document some key points. So when you give this task to somebody, you remember to give them all the information they need to do the task. So we go through that video and we pick out the main inputs for that, and also if they need any access to any sites, or maybe they need some permissions to edit files or folders or templates. So we make sure they've got all that information. Then you've got a proven process, your video, and also the instructions on exactly how to delegate that task. Next, you simply give that task to somebody to do. They can do the task, and if it goes well, you know you've nailed it. If not, you can refine it, then get them to record a new video with an updated process, and now you've got a perfect operation manual or a standard operating procedure for that task. The next thing you need to work out is how you're going to delegate your work effectively and manage your remote team. I used to do this by email, and it was an absolute nightmare. You ping an email to somebody and they're saying, oh, can you do this task? The next day you probably think of 3 or 4 new tasks. You ping those over. And then you've got to try to prioritize. Okay, so are you doing task 1 first or task 6 first? And which is the highest priority? And maybe they'll reply with some questions about one of the tasks. Then you'll reply back, and then the thread will get lost and they'll send a new email or something. And it all gets totally messy and really hard to see sort of what's going on. I felt totally out of control, and I ended up not knowing where I was up to. I had no idea what the person was working on, and I was constantly sort of checking in with them saying, oh, what are you doing now? What are you doing next? And it was a total waste of time and just stressed me out. Then I was introduced to the world of task boards using task managers. So apps like Trello or Asana or ClickUp or Monday.com, it doesn't really matter which app you're using. But the idea is you can set up a board, and on that board you can have a few columns. We call these Kanban boards. And basically, if you start off with a column with pendings, that's a pending task, so the stuff's coming up, and then have a in progress and then a done. And that's as much as you need to get started. 3 columns on a board. If you've never seen a task board before, it's basically like a whiteboard, and you put 3 columns on the whiteboard and you have a bunch of post-it notes. When you want to assign a new task, you write the task name and all the details on the post-it note and stick it in the pending column. Then when the person starts working on that, they'll pick it up out of the pending column and stick it in the in progress column. When they've finished it, they'll pick it up again and stick it in the done column. That means at a glance, you can see exactly what someone's working on right now and then what they're going to be working on next. You can then add additional columns, for example, for priority tasks or if they're waiting for you to give feedback, and you can make this as complex as you want. But just to get started, you just need those 3 columns. Another great thing about the task management app is for each of those tasks, you can have a little conversation. And so if you want to talk about a particular task, you just add a comment to that task. It keeps everything nicely and compartmentalized, and you can always go back through and see what was said previously, and nothing gets lost in email threads, and it's always there for you to find it whenever you need it. If you need to bring someone else into the mix, if someone helping with a project or whatever, you just add them to the task, and then they can see all the history of the chat and everything, and it keeps everything so organized and you feel in control. That's a massive, massive thing. The next stage is to make sure these tasks are kept up to date. So apps change, processes change, you may add new steps in, you may think, oh, that's total rubbish and start all over again. Somebody's got to keep these updated. And if you're like most businesses I work with, you're going to end up with 200, 300, even 400 tasks for the core business processes that you're going to be doing on a daily basis. You can't possibly keep all those updated yourself, and you shouldn't ever try. Instead, you need to empower your staff to do that for you. So you need to give them instructions that as they're doing the tasks, they should be looking at better ways of working, but also to make sure that the instructions in the operation manual are actually up to date with current practices. If you get them to do that, it means that you don't have to keep on top of it, as inevitably you'll be too busy to do it. So you have to offload this. A really useful tip for doing this is to make sure that every recurring task has an owner, and that owner is responsible for keeping it up to date. So we've already accomplished a lot. We've got all of the stuff that was previously taking up your time and your headspace. You've documented it really quickly. You've outsourced it effectively, and you've got somebody else maintaining it going forwards. So you can literally forget all about it and get on with your work. The next step is to actually get your team to create systems for you. So you as a business owner should be delegating stuff down and elevating your stuff up as quickly as possible. The sooner you can start focusing on strategy and leadership and growth rather than doing the work in your business, the sooner your business will be a success. The way you do that is to empower your staff to start documenting business processes for you. So they're the ones that record the videos, they're the ones that do the documentation, and they're the ones that assign somebody to maintain the task going forward. So in a nutshell, that is it. That is how you go on a step-by-step process to freeing your time, to maintaining your systems, and then to scaling by getting your team to do the hard work for you to create systems going forward. Okay, so that's it. I've covered everything at a fairly high level, but hopefully that's enough to really get your head around this idea of systemizing yourself out of your business. Now, the key to this is to be able to delegate your work quickly and effectively, and make sure that when you do, that the person can do that task from start to finish without having to come back to you and ask a bunch of questions. Now, I used to struggle with this, so I created an acronym called DIDACT that reminded me exactly what I need to say when I was delegating each task. I've put together a one-page website for you with downloads on there, with video guides, with checklists to show you exactly how you do this. This is like the key thing you need to learn. So please take advantage of this and please get this download now. The link will be in the show notes, but the website URL you need to go to is bit.ly/sys-006. So that's bit.ly/SYS-006. Please do that now. It's a really cool webpage I've put together, and it will show you exactly what you need to do so that it takes away any barriers for you getting started with this straight away. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to this podcast, share it with your friends, comment wherever you can comment, and just get involved. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this launch series with you. I hope you found it useful. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the rest of the episodes in the coming weeks, months, and years. Thanks very much. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to this episode. I'm well aware there are hundreds of great business podcasts out there, and you chose to listen to this one, and for that I am truly grateful. Hopefully what you heard today took you one step closer to building a successful business so you can share your passion with the world and serve an ever-growing number of people. If you got value out of today's episode, then so will someone else you know. By sharing with others what has helped you along your way, you will grow your influence and be the guy or girl that everybody wants to know. So please hit the share button right now, and also remember to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss future episodes. It's impossible for me to cover absolutely everything in these podcasts, so please do head over to systemizeyoursuccess.com right now and download the show notes, transcriptions, and some of my best frameworks and systems for free. Thanks again for tuning in and being a part of this amazing community. Until next time, this is Dr. Steve Day, and you've been listening to Systemize Your Success.